Hello, this is M. Welcome to my channel, OMNIIMAGO. Today we're going to have an overview about 50 simple PowerPoint shortcuts. Those shortcuts are keyboard shortcuts that we can use to be more productive when using PowerPoint, and you can simply access some key functionalities using those key combinations. Please do keep in mind that whenever we are going to see the plus sign, that doesn't mean that you need to actually press on the plus key on your keyboard, but that you need to add that additional key to create your shortcut. So keep this in mind. And as we saw for the video related to the shortcuts in Excel, in this video we will also have the two parts. The very first part with the overview, the theory about the shortcuts, and then in the second part we will move into a practical application to see those shortcuts in action. So let's get started with the very first category, which is Alt and another key on your keyboard. And the very first one that we have is Alt and A. The Alt, pressing the Alt key and then the A, will open the animation tab on your PowerPoint document. What are the animations? Just to remember what we discussed during the PowerPoint presentation from A to Z, we have the option to move objects, so text boxes or shapes or any kind of objects in your PowerPoint to make it more visual, more impactful. But also, as a starting remark, I would like to highlight the fact that when we will see the practical application and we're going to press the Alt key, the letters at the menu level will show up. So it will be very easy to use those shortcuts, and I would highlight the fact that when you press on Alt, you're on the PowerPoint presentation, and you press on the Alt key, then the shortcuts will appear. The following option that we have, the following shortcut, is Alt and C. That will open the recording tab and allow you to quickly access the screen recording options, audio, video, anything related to recording, as far as your PowerPoint version allows you to use those that option. So keep in mind that depending on your PowerPoint version, that shortcut or that option, recording option, might not be available, but if it is, you can use it. And if you have the recording option present in the PowerPoint but it's not visible, then you can go to the ribbon, to the gray part, upper gray part at your menu, right click, go to customize ribbon and add the options that you want. Again, we will see that in the practical application. If you are pressing on the Alt and F, that will open the file menu, and the file menu is located at the upper left side, giving you access to opening documents, saving documents, accessing your account, moving through the options in PowerPoint. So you can simply access it by, instead of going with the mouse, pressing the Alt and the F keys from your keyboard. The Alt and G will open your design tab, and that will allow you to apply the themes and to customize your slides. As we were referring in the PowerPoint A to Z video, the design or the themes allows you to customize your presentation using a specific branding, a specific color code. So really, to be more consistent and to have a presentation more impactful and more professional by using those themes. So a theme might be simply the landscape that you have for any single slide, and also the color coding. If you are pressing on the Alt, G and H, that will select a theme. You can go directly to themes and to select the one that you most prefer. The Alt and H will allow you to go immediately to the Home tab in your menu and to go to the formatting slides, the fonts, the paragraphs, or the drawings that you have. Keep in mind that the Home tab is one of the most important ones in PowerPoint as well. Then another shortcut that we have is Alt HFO. Again, you don't need to try to press all the keys at once for the Alt options. So you can simply go to Alt, then press H, release the H, go to F, and so on and so forth. And that will open your clipboard. And what's the clipboard? It's the place where you can find anything that you copied or cut previously, and that could be useful when or if you have a copy-paste error. That might happen in some cases. You might find that kind of bug, and you can simply clear the clipboard and start over, or you can simply take the copied items that you have and paste them again without being forced to copy it again. So it could be important to know that shortcut and to quickly go to the clipboard and doing whatever you need there. If you're pressing the Alt, H, and L, that will select a slide layout. What's the slide layout? It's actually the layout that you have per slide. So that might be the cover, that might be a chapter, that might be a format of slide where you want to compare something or to add images. So in the practical application, we will see more clearly what is a slide layout, but using that shortcut Alt H L will directly lead you to that option. If you are pressing, and again, please press an Alt and then H, S, L, and P one at once, not to struggle your fingers on the keyboard. That will open the selection pane. What's the selection pane? Is actually a layer that you have, a pane at the right of your PowerPoint that will allow you to identify the objects that you have in each slide. So if you have multiple shapes or objects or text boxes or whatever you have in your slide, in the selection pane, those will be referenced and you'll be able to see everything that you want. If you are pressing on the Alt and J, and additionally you can also press on the I, but Alt and J should also work, that will open the Draw tab. And as I was mentioning for the recording shortcut, if the draw menu is not showing, again, you can add it by using the customize ribbon option. The Alt and K will open the transitions tab, and that will allow you to quickly access the transitions options between the slides. What are the transitions? Is actually the effects that you have when moving from one slide to another in a slideshow mode. So when you are presenting your work and you want to move from one slide to another, you might want to use some transitions, and you can access that option using the Alt and K shortcut. The Alt and N from Insert that will allow you to quickly access the Insert menu, and from there to add tables, images, illustrations, forms, whatever you want. Keep in mind that the Home and Insert menus are, I would call them, critical for building a great presentation. So those shortcuts could be very useful when accessing frequently the two menu options. The Alt N and J will open your window to add an object. That could be a PDF document, could be a Word document, could be an image, could be any kind of document that you want to embed in your slide. But please do keep in mind that the embedded object won't be available for the people that are going to participate to your slideshow. So if you are not sharing your presentation, I would recommend you not to embed any document, because that document won't be available for your audience and will remain as an icon on your slide. The Alt N and L will allow you to insert a new document, a new comment. That new comment will show at the right and will be available for you or your collaborators if you are working with a team on that presentation. So Alt and L will insert you a new comment. The Alt NPD, I try to link it and to make it more logical, will allow you to add a new picture from your device. So if you are pressing on Alt N and then P and then D, that will allow you to add a picture from your device. The Alt N, S and H will allow you to insert a new shape. And for the shapes, please do keep in mind that at the bottom of the shapes menu, you also have the action buttons that will allow you to add a menu on your slide, to go to the very first slide, to the last one. So really to navigate between slides using that menu that you can add. So that shortcut could be also useful when you want to build that kind of layout using the action buttons. If you want to add a new word art, and the word art are the graphical letters that you have, stylish letters, then you can press on Alt N and W. N from new, W from word art. If you are pressing on the Alt, N and X, that will allow you to insert a new text box. What's a text box? It's actually the object that allows you to add text to your slides. So even if it's visible or not, the text box, when we have text in PowerPoint, we must have that text in a text box. So you cannot add a text otherwise. Keep in mind that that could be very, very useful. And when you are starting, for instance, your PowerPoint and you see the very first slide with the title and the subtitle, then you already have the two text boxes. So that's a text box. If you want to search or to go to the Tell Me option, that might be available for the latest version of PowerPoint, not in all of them. You can press on the Alt and Q. Let me just jump for a moment to a shortcut that we are going to see later on. If you don't have the Tell Me or Search field on the ribbon, then you can simply go on Control and press F from Find, and you can find anything that you want in your PowerPoint. If you want to review your document and quickly access the Review tab, you can press on Alt and R from Review, and then go to Spelling Checker, the accessibility compared with the other versions of PowerPoint, and also to add comments. Again, if you don't have the Review tab visible, you can add it using the Customize Ribbon option. If you want to access the Slideshow tab, which allows you to set up your monitor, set up what will happen when you will actually present your work, you can simply access the Slideshow tab using the Alt and S from Slide shortcut to navigate to those options. The Alt and W and Q will open your Zoom dialog box. Why is that important to zoom in or zoom out in PowerPoint? So if you are zooming in, you might be interested to fine-tune some details at the graphical part, some text that you have. You want really to go at the top with your quality. And if you want to zoom out, in most cases, the reason that you are doing so is simply to see the objects which are outside your slide, and you can use them to create, for instance, an animation. Let's imagine a bubble entering in your slide using the animation from outside to inside. And then you might want to zoom out and to see that bubble at the outside the slide. The following category that we have for the shortcuts is the shortcuts composed by Control and another key. And the very first one that we have is the Control and A. You need to keep in mind that the Control A will select all objects. If you are on the slide, so you have the mouse, you have a selection on the slide, the Control and A pressed simultaneously will allow you to select all the objects on a slide. If you are on the slide level at the left side and you have one slide selected, the Control A will select all your slides, allowing to apply transitions, to change the theme, or to do whatever you want to do with all the slides at once. The Control B from bold will make your text bold. So if you have the text selected and you're pressing on Control B, that will turn your text into bold. If you have your text selected and you're pressing on Control and I simultaneously, then you will apply the italic formatting for your text. If you want to use the underline formatting for your text, you need to have it selected, then press on Control U, keeping in mind that will be very, very similar with what we have for the hyperlinks. So please use carefully this kind of option just to avoid creating confusion for your audience. That's not a link, but an underline text formatting. The very well known, the Control C, which allow us to copy text objects or slides. That's very, very easy to remember, use, I think, by almost everyone, and that will allow you to copy the data, while the Control X will cut the text object or slide, so that object will disappear from the source location and will be pasted into the target location. So if you want to paste it, you can press on Control and V simultaneously, and then your text will be pasted. Regarding the Control V, I would like to make a remark here. When you want to copy and you have different formattings, let's imagine that you have two presentations. You have one source presentation from where you want to copy, let's say, an object or a slide, and you have a destination presentation, a second one. Then you might want to right click and paste using the destination format, just to keep your layout consistent and aligned for all the slides. Because otherwise, what might happen when you are pressing on the Control V, you might paste it with the source destination formatting, and that might be different from what you want to have. The Control Z will undo the last action, so that will make one step back in your action series, and the Control I will redo the last action, so you will cancel the Control Z shortcut that you used if you use that. The Control D is very similar with the Control C, but what the Control D is doing is duplicating an object. So if you have a text box, well, a shape, and you have that object selected, and you press on the Control D, that will duplicate your object. The Control E will center a paragraph. So your paragraph will be centered. If you are pressing on the Ctrl and End key simultaneously, that will move to the end of a text box. If you press on the Ctrl Enter, that will move to the next title or body text, or can move you also to the next slide where you have text or not. The Ctrl F that we discussed about previously, it's the find option that you have. If you want to find something specific in your presentation, you can press on Ctrl F. The Ctrl and F1 will allow you to expand or collapse the ribbon. So if you want to have more visibility on the menu, you can expand it by pressing the Ctrl F1, or you can collapse it and have more space for your slide by collapsing the ribbon. So the Ctrl and F1 will allow you to play with the ribbon. The Ctrl and H pressed together will allow you to have the pop-up window with the replace dialog box, allowing you to make changes, to change a text, for instance, in your slide or in your presentation. The Ctrl and Home will allow you to move to the beginning of a text box. So if you have multiple lines, you can go to the very first one by pressing the Ctrl Home. The Ctrl J will justify your paragraph. So instead of going with the mouse, selecting the text, going to the mouse at the menu level, the Home tab option, and clicking on Justified, you can simply select your text and press on Ctrl J. The Ctrl L will align left your paragraph, and the Ctrl R will align right your paragraph. The Ctrl K will open the pop-up window with the Insert Hyperlink option, and you can add an external hyperlink or create a link within your document, so create a connections between slides. The Ctrl M will allow you to add a new slide, but again, that option might not be available in all the versions of PowerPoint that we have. So if this is not working, you can check the upgrade options or see what better shortcut works for your current version of PowerPoint. The Ctrl N will create a new presentation. So N from new will allow you to create it from scratch. The Ctrl P will open the print dialog box. The Ctrl Q will close the PowerPoint, and the Ctrl S will save the presentation. If you don't have the presentation saved and you are pressing the Ctrl Q that we just saw, then however PowerPoint will ask you about saving the presentation. So you can keep in mind that if you are pressing on Ctrl Q and your presentation is not saved, however that pop-up window will allow you to save it. The Ctrl Tab will allow you to insert a space in a box, in a text box. And the Ctrl and the arrows keys, up, down, left, right arrow keys, will allow you to move among the paragraphs. And now, as promised, let's move ahead with the practical application and to see those shortcuts in action. Now let's continue with the practical application, and let's start by doing a very simple thing that will make a turnaround regarding the shortcut usage and how to remember them. So you need to remember that you can press the Alt key when you have the PowerPoint document open. So by pressing the Alt, you have the letters here. So if you want to go to animations, you can press on the A. If you pressing the Alt and then the C, you can go to the Record tab. If you are pressing on the Alt and the F, that will go to the File menu. If you are pressing the Alt and the H, you will be able to go to the Home menu. If you're pressing on the Alt and N from Insert, so H from Home, N from Insert, F from File, J-I from Draw, G from Design, K from Transitions, S from Slideshow, C from Record, R from Review, and W from View. So let's go ahead and play a bit with those ones. So I'm pressing down the Alt G, and that's Design shortcut. So if I'm pressing on the Alt G H, I will be able to choose among the layouts that I have here available. So I can actually apply a theme using this one, or even going to the Home. That option, the Design Ideas, is also available in the Home. So I can simply choose a different one, and let's see if we can find an interesting one by scrolling down through the options. And let's take this one for instance. So those are the themes that you can use, and you can simply go there by going to Alt G from Design, and then the H from the themes, and you can choose the theme as you wish. Now let's continue with our practice. Let's play with Alt H from Home, right? And here you have also the options that you can use. So if you go to F and O, that will open your clipboard options, and here you can clear what you have. If you have a copy paste bug, for instance, or if I'm putting here a text, let's put PowerPoint. Let's change the color to red and make it bolder and bigger and place it here. If I want, for instance, to copy it, I can simply press on copy, Ctrl C, and you can see that I have it here in my clipboard. If I'm putting here practice, and let's place it in the middle, and again I can copy this one, I can see it also in my clipboard. If I want to paste it all, I can paste it all. If I want to clear it all, I can press on clear all, and that's it. Let me close the clipboard, sorry, and let's go to another shortcut, which was Alt HL from the layout. So when I was referring to the layout, actually is this kind of layout. So you can take the title slide or the blank slide or whatever kind of layout you prefer and use it in your PowerPoint presentation. Let me, however, change that design idea. No, let me change using the shortcut. Okay, delete this one, delete this one. Okay, so what I can go here is to create a blank slide. Let me delete this one, and then to add some elements here. So let me go to Alt, insert N, and then press on SH, and let me add this kind of shape that I can put it in red. So let me press on the Ctrl D to multiplicate it, and I can see here that I have multiple shapes. but it's not easy to define which is the shape that I'm actually having. So what I can do is, again, use the shortcuts. I'm pressing the Alt and then going to H from home, S, L and P to have the selection pane active. So SLP, selection pane, and the H, as I was mentioning, please let me know what do you think that shortcut is coming from. So here I have all my references in the selection pane. So when we are referring to the selection pane, actually that selection pane is referring or indexing our objects within a slide, and that could simply help us change the format for one specific shape, so we can play a lot with those ones in a very easy way by using the selection pane. Let me right click here and duplicate this, and again duplicate it, and let me, for the second slide, press on Ctrl A, delete everything, and the third one, again Ctrl A, delete everything, and here to add something like a picture from a stock image. Let me add that image, insert, and I have it here. So did I did it right? No, my friend, because what I need is always to drag it using the corners and not the right and left side. But in this case, for this picture, it's quite easy to fit it without having a noticeable resolution impact. So I have the first slide with the rectangles, then a blank slide, and the third one. If I'm pressing on F5, that will go into the slideshow mode, starting with the very first slide, and then move ahead with the slides. I'm pressing escape button, and that's it. So I can see there is no transition. What I can change here is to press on the Alt and K and to add transition. For instance, I can use that kind of transition, and if I'm going to the slides, I can press on Ctrl A, select everything, and use the same transition. Now let's press again the F5, and I can see that I have this kind of transition. So by pressing the Alt K, you can access the transitions tab, which allows you to have transitions between your slides and to play with your slides in a more visual way and to impress more your audience. Then if I want to go and insert an object as I did, I'm pressing on the Alt and N from insert, and this will allow me to choose one of the objects that I can add within the PowerPoint. If I want to embed an image, I can press on Alt N and J, and that will open that pop-out, which will allow me to embed a PDF document, Word document, image, any other kind of document, and have it on my slide. But please do keep in mind that whenever you have your presentation that you want to use it in a slideshow mode, so your audience won't be able to click on your object and to open it or access it, it's recommended not to embed an object. So if you are using that editor mode, you can simply embed the document that you want to have, and then anyone to be able to click on that document and to open the, let's say, spreadsheet within your PowerPoint. But if it's meant to be presented to a larger audience and you are not going to share your presentation, it's better not to embed any document. If you want to add a new comment, then you can simply press on the Alt and the L, and that will allow you to add a comment for yourself or for your team. If you want to add a picture from your device, again, you can use that shortcut. So new picture from device. So it's quite self-explanatory. Alt and PD, new picture from device, and that will open your window explorer, allowing you to choose one photo already saved on your computer. If you want to insert a new shape or an action button, so you can press on Alt NSH, so Alt new and then SH from shape. You can choose one shape, as I did for the rectangles, or you can also go to the buttons that will allow you to have a sort of menu in your PowerPoint. So to go to the very first slide, to the last slide, and so on and so forth. So that NSH is a very useful shortcut for adding shapes or even action buttons. If you want to add that word art, you can simply click on the word art if you are on the insert option, or if you are, let's say that you are on the review option and you want to add a word art, then you can press on Alt new N W from word art, and here it is. So here you can say PowerPoint, and here is a very quick and easy way of adding it. If you want to add a text box, so if I wanted to write something, it's not going to work. Why? Because I don't have a text box. If I want to add the text box, I can press on Alt new and X from text box, and here to say practice, and expand that, and that's it. Before moving ahead with the next shortcuts, let me do something that you might like. Let me delete this one, and here in Home, go to Dictate, because I have this option in my PowerPoint version, and I'm pressing Dictate, and hello. This is how the Dictate option is working in your PowerPoint. So you can simply write your PowerPoint by telling what to write. Thank you. And now we have that text. I didn't move a finger. I simply used the Dictate option, and I have my text here. So if you are in a rush and if you need to add your text and your PowerPoint version is allowing you to dictate it, you can do it. So that was for the further steps that we are going to see. Now the next shortcut that we have is, let me press again Alt and X, not Alt and X, add a new text box, and here write Alt and Q. That will allow you to go to the Tell Me or search bar appearing on the top of the menu options that you have. If you don't have that Tell Me or search field, what you can do is simply to press on the Control and F from Find, and there to say that you want to find Power, find Next, Power, and Power. You can also do that in mostly any version of PowerPoint that you have. If you finished your editing part with PowerPoint and you want to review it, so you can play with Alt and R. And as you can see, is not going to the review option. Why? Because I have this shortcut associated with my my video board. So that's a tricky part that you might face it in some cases if you have Windows or hardware or drivers, shortcuts, or the associated, then some of the shortcuts might not work for you. So keep this in mind. And the workaround would be to change your driver shortcut and to use another one, so you can do whatever you need to do by simply choosing that that kind of shortcut. If you want to see the slideshow option and you want to use a shortcut, then you can press on the Alt and S. That will open your slideshow options. Again, it will be useful for you to remember that if you want to use the shortcuts, for instance, we have here the slideshow from beginning or from the color slide. So from beginning would be the B, and that's it. That's one option that you have, or to press on the Alt, S and C to play from the current slide. Alternatively, as we mentioned before, you can press on F5, function 5, to have the slideshow from the beginning, or the Shift and F5, function 4, to have the slideshow from the current slide. If you want to have the zoom in and zoom out option, you can press on Alt WQ, and for instance you can go to 50% zoom, and there you can press on Alt and then N and then SH, and to add, for instance, a bubble. Let's take this bubble, let's see, let's put it in red, and then to go to Alt A, and for that specific element or object to trace your animation. So now let me also take that animation and to move it to, let's say that I'm putting 7, the dot, okay. And now let me press Shift F5 and to see that animation in action. So we can now see the bubble going to our slide. So here we need to have the zoom out just to be able to see the bubble outside the slide. Alternatively, you can go here down and select the zoom level that you want to have, or even press on Ctrl and scroll down and up to change the zoom option. So that could be a good alternative for that Alt WQ that will show you the zoom window. Moving ahead with the Ctrl A, the control shortcuts. The Ctrl A, what we'll do, will select you everything. Ctrl A, I have everything selected here. Now everything is selected and I can do a lot of things. So I can even put it in grayscale if I want to. So let me get back to the color view, and that selection of all the objects, so Ctrl A will select everything. If I'm going to the slide options and pressing the Ctrl A will select all the slides that I have within my presentation. If I want to make my text bold, I simply go to select, I select all my text and then press Ctrl B or Ctrl I to place it in italic, or Ctrl U to place it in underline. So I have all those options to play with my text. If I want to, for instance, copy that part, I can go to my text box, press Ctrl C, and then press Ctrl V, and this can be also cut with Ctrl X and then Ctrl V. That's very, very useful. But if you want to copy and paste your objects or your slides from one presentation to another, then, as I was mentioning, it's good to do a different thing. If you want to copy an object or to copy a slide, then you can, of course, you can go to Ctrl C, copy it, but then in the other presentation or where you have the destination, you can right click and choose what you have here. Let me press on Ctrl N to create a new one, and then go back here. Let me go use the shortcut Ctrl C, and then go here, and if I right click, I can use the destination theme, meaning that I can use the theme that I have in my destination file, not the source one, because that will align your layout, your theme to the destination one. Otherwise, what might happen, you might have a change of colors, a change of layout, just because you are using the Ctrl V, and the appearance of your slide or object might be different. So let's move ahead, and let me press on Ctrl Z, and again Ctrl Z, which moved 2 steps back. So the Ctrl Z is moving to the last action, and then the Ctrl Y, sorry, will allow you to get back from the Ctrl Z. So the Ctrl Z will undo the last action, and the Ctrl Y will redo the last action. If I want to duplicate an object, for instance, that specific object, I can press on Ctrl D from duplicate multiple times, and I have exactly the same object duplicated. It's the same as Ctrl C, but the Ctrl C is copying data, while the Ctrl D is duplicating data. If I want to go to the end of a text box, for instance, I'm here and I want to go to the end, I can simply press on the Control and End option. If you have on your keyboard, for instance, like I do, I have the end, I don't have a dedicated end button, I have the end button associated to one of my numbers at the right. So I have a numbered keyboard, and the end option is along with the number keys. What you can do is to deactivate the numlock and then press that specific key, and that will do exactly the same as the Control End. If you are pressing on the Control and Enter, what might happen is to go to the next title or body text holder, or even to create a new slide, like you would do by pressing the Control and M shortcut. That will also create for you a new slide. We discussed about the Control F for finding something. So let me find power. I have power everywhere from PowerPoint. But if I want to replace something, let's say that I want to replace the hello with hello, a single hello, I can press on Control H to replace, and I can say here from hello, I want to have hello with an uppercase, and replace all, and now I have everything adjusted to those changes. So I don't have the double hello, but I have a single one with an uppercase. If I need to expand or collapse my ribbon, I can go to that arrow and change the options here from full screen mode, show tab only, and so on and so forth. Or I can press on Ctrl and F1, which will do exactly the same. Will expand or collapse my ribbon. If I'm at the end of a text box, so let me copy this one, copy it, Ctrl C, press enter, Ctrl V, Ctrl V, Ctrl V, and let me select everything, Ctrl A, and from here I'm pressing again the Ctrl and pressing the delete. I only have this one now, and if I'm at the end, I can press on Ctrl and the home option, and that will lead me to the beginning of my text box. Now you can see that I have my text aligned to the left, so you can see it from a visual perspective. But if I want to justify it, I can press on Ctrl J, and now it's justified. You can see that it's also aligned to the right. You can also see that I have here the justified. I can press on Ctrl L to align it back to the left, Ctrl R from right, align it to the right, or get back to justified. So you can play with those ones. If I want to add a hyperlink, an external or even an internal hyperlink, I can press on Ctrl K, and I will have the option to, for instance, take that part, let me put a hyperlink everywhere, and every part of that specific text to move from slide 3 to 1. And now I can see that I have everything underlined, but actually it's not underlined, it's a hyperlink. If I want to go there, I can press on Ctrl and left click of the mouse, or in presentation mode. So let me press on Shift F5 because I'm slide number 3 and I want to have it here. In presentation mode, I have the small hand available, and if I click here, we'll go to the very first slide. Let me press on Escape. We discussed about Ctrl M, creating a new slide, Ctrl N from new presentation. If I want to close my PowerPoint, I can press on Ctrl and Q. That will close, and Ctrl and S will save my presentation. And if I don't have the presentation saved, as soon as I'm pressing on Ctrl Q, will ask me about saving the presentation. If I want to add a space, I can simply press on Ctrl Tab, and that will give me some space within my text box. And moving back to our presentation, if I go here and for instance I'm pressing on Ctrl up arrow, it's going to the very beginning of my text box, down arrow moving to the paragraphs, left arrow moving to my text, or right arrow moving to my text in the right direction. So that was the overview of the practical application, the 50 shortcuts in PowerPoint. If you have any comment, please leave it below. I hope that you liked this video, and if you did, please push the like button, subscribe to my channel, OMNIIMAGO. Have a perfect day ahead. See you soon. Bye bye.